What's going on, guys? SeeJay here, and today I'm going to bring back the series that we've been working on, going over the top 10 teams for each of the chapters in Mines of Moria, Heroes of Middle-earth. And today we're going to be diving into Chapter 3. So for Chapter 3, from my guild, of course, subject to change depending on, different scores and different comps that people have tried. But from the data that we have from our runs from last week, so middle of December runs, or about 2 weeks ago now, these are the top 10 teams with a couple of fluff in here as well that goes a little bit past number 10. So Mordor at the bottom, they're just not a good Chapter 3 team. They just don't do well in this wave raid for Chapter 3. They're just not that great at all in most of the chapters at this point in the game. And I think a lot of people really haven't built out the Mordor, Misty Mountain, whole kind of squad, right? So not a lot of people probably have this team anyways built, but they're kind of at the bottom. Thorin's Company and Goblins. So according to the latest data, and again, this is like mid-December, so we're still ways away from a lot of these teams being fully kind of vetted out, especially Thorin's Company and Goblins being sort of at the bottom here. I would tend to believe that these will definitely rise over the next few months as people continue to get them built out. But Thorin's Company, where we only have the 3 a part of the team, they just don't have like the full kit yet. They're great in all the other chapters, just Chapter 3 is not really for them. I think they're still going to be an easy 900k team, so certainly don't think you would ever not want to go after Thorin for the legendary event. And Rumil and Orphan, or I'm sorry, not Rumil and Orphan. I'm getting ahead of myself. Thorin with Bilbo and Bomber, and then of course your kind of 2 flex characters that you could kind of squeeze in with him. But Thorin, he's going to be, that team's going to be probably top 5, top 7 every single chapter as people are able to build him out and try different things, and as he gets potentially a couple more members a part of his company. So I would say that even though he's a little bit lower on this list, still absolutely a team that I would personally say you should be working on Goblins to unlock Thorin on his next go around if you don't have him already, like myself. For Goblins, again, they're kind of coming in that number 10 spot. I think a lot of people before Thorin event was announced didn't really have Goblins, right? Like that just wasn't a squad people were farming. But now that it's sort of like a requirement as people are building them up for the first time, or more people are getting access to them to try different things and see what works, they're great. They're doing really well, which I'm happy for, because I'm a big Goblins fan. Like I mentioned this in previous videos, Goblins, when I first started playing the game, was the team that I wanted to build because I just like Goblins. But then I realized they're not really farmable. When you first start playing the game, a couple of the nodes are hard way down the line, so you're just not going to get to them anytime soon. So you really don't have access until a little bit of ways into your account. And then Great Goblin, of course, is not free-to-play friendly whatsoever. So in order to farm Great Goblin, you're going to have to spend money no matter what, how you slice it, right? As they become more available, which they sort of are now, right? Great Goblin's pretty much the only one you can't get, at least free-to-play, at least at this point in the game in December of 2023. They're continuously seeing their scores rise. So I would tend to say Goblins will continue to rise in most chapters in this game. Coming in at number 9 is Isengard. Isengard as a squad. They're just, again, they don't really have any AoE as an individual squad. I've seen them kind of plucked off of an Isengard full squad and used with like tandems of Rivendell to kind of break up the elves and take like the best kind of individual plug and play characters, and then utilize like Ugluk and Maur's assist and use them in different comps. So I don't know if that's going to be like the meta build for Isengard or not, but if we're just strictly trying to like think about full build teams in this game and which of those teams are kind of best in each of the chapters, Isengard's definitely on the weaker side. I know there's like a lot of teams that we only have like 3s of, right? So because of that, you're kind of having like a lot of hybrid builds on all these chapters. Really the only ones you generally are going to see kind of like very consistent with like the full squad. You got Isengard, of course, Goblins, and then you're going to have like your Rivendell, you're going to have your Road to Rivendell, you're going to have your Haradrim, right? Like you're going to have like a lot of your core teams that are like your consistent 5, maybe like a flexed 5th person with like the always 4 type of style. But then when you get into like these lower like tier teams, it's really because they don't have full squads. Like Thorin's 3, right? You got Dol'Guldur, was just the 3. So it's difficult to really rank them as easily, because like what I want to do after this video is create chapter 4 and then make like an overall, like kind of breaking down all 4 chapters and then giving them like, you know, the number of where they ranked, and then where do they rank 1 to 10. So that's what I'm trying to do. But I'm just like mentally thinking about it as I'm making these videos and saying, yeah, it's tough like with the hybrids, because the hybrids is like, hybrid could be anything. Like it's your Rohan 3, but then like what else, right? Like it's usually whatever maybe is your strongest character on your account at any given time, just because like why not use that character, you know? But anyways, I digress. So Dol'Guldur, they're showing to be a pretty good chapter 3 team. They're just again incomplete, right? The whole concept of the binding in the lifesteal and everything, like it's such a cool design. I really like the Nazgul, but they just don't have a full squad yet. So you're kind of like mixing and matching, like Haradrim here, for example. There's probably other ways around it, but Dol'Guldur, they're not farmable yet, so I don't think a lot of people are probably really going after this squad all that much. And you know, they're definitely kind of on the lower tier at this point, that you might want to focus on some of the other teams that you have more access to in the game. Lord Balin's and his expedition, you know, squad, with Rumil and Orphan coming up in the next couple of weeks, with some more filler dwarfs to just kind of fill in the team. So in this case, you know, you got Gimli and such. They're doing pretty good. They're definitely a good squad. I would probably say that as they fill out, you could probably see them easily as like a top 5 team to consider for chapter 3. Road to Rivendell as a whole, really, really good. Again, very easily farmable team. I think a lot of people probably have Road to Rivendell, and from what we've already seen from chapter 1, chapter 2, and now into chapter 3, is they're generally hovering on like that mid tier, like that 4th, 5th, 6th spot. So definitely a good team to invest into and kind of find them as like your 5th team or your 4th team, even like as your 900k as you continue to build out your account. So Road to Rivendell is a good one. Then we go into number 5, which is again kind of like we just talked about. Hybrid's a little bit tough because it's sort of like your filler teams that you can kind of just make a squad work depending on what you got, right? And of course in here, like cleanses and taunts, provokes are really useful. So like whatever you can kind of build to make that work. In this case, you can see there's like a 900 score in a chapter 4 here that's running like just a bunch of random stuff. You got Halbarad and Ugluk, you got Naraz, Wubite, and then Bekalu. So the problem with this is if you don't have like a very deep roster on your account, like if you're taking Ugluk away, then you don't have an Isengard squad to run. And even though they're like lower on the rankings here, they're probably still a good squad to run because you probably have Isengard at least usable, because they're kind of like your original shadow free-to-play team, right? And then you have 2 of your 5 Haradrim here, but Haradrim's really good. So you're taking them away from your Haradrim squad. And then Halbarad, of course, is like pretty hard to farm. Not a lot of people probably have him. And then Naraz is just like, he honestly is a sleeper plug and play character on most teams in most chapters. Like he can kind of just work anywhere. And I started farming him because of that. Like he has a really good kit and he can work really well. So I think he's great, and he's a fun character to kind of sneak in on a lot of different teams. Coming in at number 4 is Haradrim. So again, in that top 5 on the 3rd chapter, or in all 3 chapters have been top 5. They're very good. They're easily a 1 million plus team. And again, you can kind of mix match their team if you are trying to do some of this hybrid kind of stuff. But for me, I'm just kind of sticking to like a full Haradrim squad. But another great squad. I'd continue farming them if you guys aren't already. Going into number 3, this is exciting because number 3 is Gondor, which is probably one of the only chapters that they're doing really well. They definitely don't have a lot of success in the other chapters, but this is the one that they are definitely cranking. So if there's one chapter, and if you went after Gondor because you just enjoy, you know, Faramir, Boromir, and Denethor for whatever reason, I'm not a big fan of those characters, but if you like them, this is their chapter to shine. Number 2 is the infamous Rohan 3. Again, another top 5 squad in most chapters, if not all 4 chapters. They just continue to outperform and do extremely well, and they're very easy to farm. In this specific example here, 1.1 million on chapter 4 using the Rohan 3 with Merry and Pippin. Again, the problem with this specific build is then you're taking apart your Road to Rivendell, which is number 6 on this list. So that's a little bit hard if you don't have the additional characters on your account. But as a backup plan, you could do Halbarad, you could do Ironhide, you could do Naraz, right? For me, I do Rohan with Lomian because he's one of my better built characters. And for specifically chapter 3, I like to run Narameri with my Rivendell team. So he just kind of like, I might as well use him. He's built. And then my number 5 is usually Ironheart because, again, he's just another one of my most built characters. So that's kind of like my Rohan hybrid sort of squad. And then I run it with Haradrim, Isengard, Rivendell, Road to Rivendell, and then your Rohan, right? So that's kind of like my 5 right now, like teams that I'm running, like Rohan plus Ironhide and Naraz or Lomian. It kind of mix and match depending on the chapters. But and then to no surprise, number 1, we all knew, right? Rivendell, once again, up at the top of the list. You got your core 4 always, and then you're running most of the time here Narameri. So easily 1.5 million team in difficulty 4. I can't wait till mine's fully built out. Still working on a lot of their gear tier, and I'm gonna be getting Lord Elrond's level 6 on his leadership ability as soon as we get the day 7 30 mats. So I'm really excited about that because that's going to be a huge boost to my Elrond for next week's raids. But anyways, that is chapter 3 of Mines of Moria. Let me know what you guys think. If you agree or disagree. There's definitely, I think, a lot of room for some movement here, just because, again, I think Goblins, especially in Thorin's company, as they're still kind of being figured out because they're a little bit newer in the sense of people who are really actually getting the chance to build those squads. I'd like to see like where they kind of end up on this tier list over the course of the next few weeks as more and more people are able to give it a shot. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. I appreciate all the support. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.